Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, happy Sunday. We're about to start a new week. So, the question is the worst over for Bitcoin? Is the worst over crypto? So, today, let's talk about what to expect this week. And with September right around the corner, what can we expect going forward? So, let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And make sure you follow all of my channels. Some good content on other channels as well. So, welcome, guys. Like I said, happy Sunday, wherever you may be. Let's see. Let me bring up my chart. Bitcoin right now, clinging on to 20,000. We're kind of just not moving. Flopping between 20,100 and 19,900, somewhere around there, right? A lot of fear, guys. A ton of fear out there. You could just tell, even from people in the live chat right now, there's just a whole bunch of fear. People do not know what to think. It does seem like we have retraced back. We were heading up. We were at 24,000, and now all of a sudden we have fallen back 20%, and we're back down to 20,000, right? All because of this one thing, this one press conference kind of like reset things, right? So yeah, I get it. I get a lot of people are very fearful, and that is why we're kind of at a standstill right now, right? So what about this week? Are things going to change this week? Well, there's a few things that may change things. If we're looking at, let's say, the U.S. market in terms of economic data, there's a lot of economic data every single week, it seems like, right? But, you know, this guy right here, this is the guy that everyone is fearful of, really, because of what he said, his hawkish tone, right, for September. And we are entering September pretty soon. So what can we expect? Well, from here on out, leading to that next FOMC meeting, everyone's going to be paying attention to all this economic data, because this is what Powell and the rest of the FOMC people are going to be looking at, right? So we got consumer confidence, ADP payrolls, jobless claims, car sales, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate, right? Unemployment rate will be a huge one because we're at a historic low, basically, in the U.S., 50-year low, right? Is that unemployment going to go up, or is it going to stay steady? If it stays steady, consumer confidence still high, jobless claims continues to go down. It went down last week. ADP payroll still up. If all these things come in saying that the economy is still very, very strong, well, we could actually see a negative reaction with the market, because that means Powell has the go-ahead to be very hawkish with his rate hikes, right? Because it shows that the economy is still so strong, and he really hasn't done anything to decrease demand. And ultimately, that's what he wants, right? So it's one of those things that we're actually kind of hoping that we don't get spectacular numbers. I know, as weird as that may seem, it's one of those situations we actually want the numbers to kind of hover and go below expectations or be a little worse. You actually don't want the numbers to be spectacular, because then that gives this man right here more ammunition for his gun, right? It's kind of strange that way, but that's the reality of the situation. So this week, we'll get more data, and all the weeks leading up to the next FOMC meeting, which will be like the final week of September. So we got about a month left. It'll be very interesting indeed. So there's this that's coming up, and of course there's other things that's coming up. The other big news I want to address, because it was rumored that today we were going to see a whole bunch of Bitcoins being released from Mt. Gox, which I said I don't think it's today, but there were people, specifically one person, that was spreading that rumor, trying to spread more FUD out there. But we have confirmation from one of the guys, Eric Wall. I'm not sure who he is, but he has a large audience, and he says, well, I'm a creditor, right? I'm supposed to get back some funds, but no, I'm not getting anything. The repayment system is not live, right? In terms of distribution, there's no date set of whether or not it's going to be this week or next week or the week after that or a month or maybe going to 2023. It's not determined. But there are a few individuals out there that seems to be spreading rumors for whatever reason, right? Trying to cause more fear during a fearful time, right? But basically he goes on and says, oh, here's all my paperwork, right? Am I actually going to sell? He's like, no, it doesn't seem very attractive to be selling right now. And this is one of the things I mentioned about why I don't think Mt. Gox's release will crash the market like it did in 2018 before, because a lot of people that is waiting for their Bitcoin, I mean, they're going to look at a situation like, Bitcoin is just at 70,000 and we're at 20,000. Why would I want to sell at 20,000 when I could wait until it goes back to 70,000 or 100,000, right? So I think a lot of people will not be anxious to sell whatever they get. And also a lot of people are selling to this other firm that is kind of prepaying people, Fortress. So Fortress is buying up people's Bitcoin and basically giving them whatever percentage. I don't know if it's like 50 or 70%, but a lot of people are turning to them as well. And Fortress does not plan on selling because they plan on holding and benefiting from that. So, but yeah, this squashes this other rumor that supposedly today, Mt. Gox was go distribute all their Bitcoin. And I'm tracking it. I told you guys, I started looking at it yesterday, tracking their reserves, and their reserves have not moved. So it has not moved at all. So this is a good indication that nothing has happened yet. So that's the good thing. Eventually it's going to happen. Again, we don't know if it's next week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months from now, but it's not this week. So that's good. That's good. Now, as we move towards September, we have, what is it tomorrow? So tomorrow, starting Monday the 29th, we still have 31st is Wednesday, so we're not going to start the new month until Thursday. But looking at what has happened so far has been brutal. Right now, if we still continue even we don't move at all, this will be one of the worst August months that we have ever seen for Bitcoin, going all the way back to 2015. That's 2 cycles ago. Well, you could argue that's like 3 cycles ago. That's when I really got into Bitcoin, like 2013, 2014, when things came down. But in 2015, it got really bad. And then, this is as bad as that. If you're looking at historical charts, right, you could see that August usually is a mixed month. There's some good, some bad, but you could see early on we had some very bad months. 2014, 2015, right, bad. 2016 bad, and so forth, right? Here's the kicker, though. If you look at historically for September has been absolutely brutal for Bitcoin, right? It has been traditionally all red. But here's the thing. You look at some of those prior months to those years. For example, in 2021, we had a bad September, but why was that? We had a great August and a great July. That's why, right? You look at in 2020, we had a bad September. Well, again, we had a great July and a good August. And you know what? So I think a lot of these trends are being broken right now. Obviously, if you go back to April has been historically good month for Bitcoin. You could see 30, 30, 34, 34 gains in April. Obviously, we didn't have a good April this year, right? So I do think a lot of these trends are just really, they're being broken this year. We can't really rely on the history of previous months from previous years and previous cycles versus now, because the environment is just totally different. So who knows? Maybe instead of a red month, we're going to get a gigantic green month for September. But, I've been saying how I'm still clinging on hope for the final few months of this year. So you could look at October, historically a fantastic month. Same thing November and December. Look at in 2020, we ended the year with positive 27% October, positive 43% in November, positive 47% in December. And that was 2020, right? Coming off, and that was a year during the COVID and pandemic, coming off one of the worst crashes we have seen for markets and Bitcoin. And look at that kind of recovery, right? Can we see something like that happen this year? Seeing how much we sold off, I'm clinging on hope that we could. We could see a decent recovery at the end of the year. So, something to look forward to. Now, looking at this question, is worse over for Bitcoin and crypto? I came up with that because I did see one analyst that claims so, and that's Plan B. Plan B believes that the worst of market expectations are already priced in, meaning he believes that all the macro conditions that we're expecting, or the macro conditions that are here and expecting, have already been priced in. I would say yes and no, because macro conditions could get much worse, right? Especially overseas. Obviously, Plan B is not even based in the U.S. I don't think he's even in the U.S. So if you're looking at, what's happening with Europe, what's happening in China, what's happening with, globally, right? Macro conditions could definitely get worse. In the U.S., it seems like we're kind of set, right? But, all this economic data that's going to come out is going to confirm whether or not we're truly doing really well or not. But, macro conditions around the world seems to be getting worse. So I don't know if everything has been priced in. But if things stay steady as they are, then maybe. And he also did post this in terms of, well, it looks like the stock to flow chart, but this is actually percent BTC in loss, and calculating that. This is one of those models like Nupal, which that kind of calculates realized losses and gains and looks at and basically predicts a bottom, right, with it. And it's looking like we are definitely coming off from bottom, just like in 2018 and 2015, although we're kind of extending a little bit, right? So we'll see. Last few months will definitely be exciting, that's for sure. And I'm looking forward to it. And I believe many of you guys are too. All right. What else is there? Some news. I did see this. Not good news, but it seems like Grayscale is being queried by our friend Gary Gensler about 3 different coins that may be considered as securities, and that's Stellar, Zcash, and Horizon. Now, Zcash and Horizon, I could see how Gary is going after them because they are privacy coins, right? And the governments do not like privacy coins, so they could just be going after them just for those reasons alone, right? But as for Stellar, been rumors that since SEC is going after Ripple, they may go after Stellar, right? And they may be starting that already by asking Grayscale all these questions about these 3 being listed and, whether or not they think that it's a security, right? So be careful with these 3 because they could be gone after next by the SEC. And SEC, I mean, they're just busy these days. I mean, they're actually looking into what Elon has asked. They're actually probing Twitter now over spam accounts. So they're looking at all these, these accounts that's on Twitter that's spreading all this news and stuff like that. So they actually want to know about spam accounts. I don't even think that's in their jurisdiction, right? Unless they're trying to make a case, well, these spam accounts or these accounts are manipulating the markets and so forth. Maybe that's the reason why, but it does seem like SEC is really going after everything. Again, Gary Gensler wants complete control, basically. He wants to control everything. And I did mention about how there's this, this article from Forbes magazine that was basically calling for his resignation, and it was removed. It was forcibly removed, right? So, yeah, I don't know what to say about Gary beyond that. All right, and then as for liquidations, 300 million worth of Bitcoin, Ethereum, liquidated within the last few days. I told you guys that already. It's just not smart to play with liquidate. It's not, no, I tell you that. It's not smart to play with leverage, especially extreme leverage. it's fine. If you're a gambler, you're a trader, you want to play with your 5x, 10x, whatever. It's your money. You can do whatever you want, right? But if you're starting to play with 20, 50, 100, 125 leverage, you're really setting yourself to get wrecked. And not only that, you're setting everyone else to get wrecked because there's a tremendous down pressure when there is a huge liquidation like this that adds a ton of sell pressure to the entire market, right? So not good. Not good at all. All right. Lastly, there's a couple games. So I've been seeing a lot more excitement about games, people asking about games, more articles about games. A lot of these VCs getting into games, right? So there's a few games I did want to talk about. For example, Gala. Gala is one I've talked about many times in the past. They're really not a game, they're a gaming platform. And you could see how many games are within their platform that they're developing, and there's a lot that already is live or in beta. So they have Spider Tank, they have Town Star. They're about to open this other game, Legends Reborn, Walking Dead. There's a lot of stuff going on in Gala. So I still maintain that they're in a really good shape for the future because they're just kind of developing and moving forward at this point, right? Another game that I used to be very fond of, and then I lost interest because of what happened with the team, but now I'm hoping they come through because this whole thing with Harmony, but DeFi Kingdoms, not KingFi, DeFi Kingdoms is moving away from Harmony to Clayton, right? So they're having a big vote in a couple days. They were one of the biggest DeFi projects or gaming projects there is across all the chains, but definitely the biggest on Harmony. But because of the recent, hack on Harmony and some not so good things came out about Harmony through their Q&As, they decided that they are going to move forward and switch to Clayton. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing. They're coming out with a new token. Jewel, is going to be reserved for just governance now and maybe some in-game stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. But again, this all depends on this vote that's coming up on the 30th. So if you want to participate, go ahead and do that. But, as for the hack, that 100 million seems like it was done by the North Koreans and they're not getting it back. So I don't know, as Harmony's future goes, hopefully they can attract more projects because the biggest one is leaving. So hopefully they could get more going. And lastly, Sandbox, which I have played before one time, they have opened up their Alpha Season 3. So I played their Alpha Season 2. It was quite interesting. There's like little missions you could do, right? But they have a lot of different lands that you can explore. So they have just opened up. If you want to give it a try, go ahead and, it's not bad. And also they're adding the Walking Dead area too. The Walking Dead, even though the series is about to come to an end, but they're all over the place. They're in Townstar, in Gala, and then now they're in Sandbox. They're all over the place. It's kind of a little too late if you ask me because the series is about to cancel. So anyways, so Sandbox also a great metaverse, slashing game project out there. All right. That is pretty much it. As for the overall market cap, we're up slightly, 1%. Nothing to really be that excited about it, though. We are clinging on to 20,000, right? Ethereum is trying to cling on to 1,500. It did sell off quite a bit over the last few days, but recovering upwards. But I did say yesterday, the encouraging thing is there were a lot of projects that really didn't move with the sell-off of Bitcoin and Ethereum. For example, BNB didn't really move that much. XRP didn't really move that much. Cardano didn't move that much, right? Polygon was actually gaining during that time too. So there are definitely still a lot of strong holders out there taking advantage, DCAing while other people are fearful and while markets are low, and that's the way to do it. All right, let's do some Q&A. Hi, George. I had all my Matic tokens from my hot wallet, Trust Wallet. I had all my Matic tokens taken from my hot wallet, Trust Wallet. Super careful about phishing scams. Didn't share my seed phrase. Any hot wallet secure. Steven, there's more to the story than you're sharing. So that's not accurate. Nothing was taken away from you unless you just said it was somehow fished away from you, or you went to some site that you're not supposed to, right? You accessed some kind of DApp site which asked access to your wallet and you probably granted it. So these hot wallets like Trust Wallet are pretty good. They're pretty secure. The only reason why they're not secure is you accidentally did something that you're not supposed to. So I'm sorry to hear that, but most likely you went to a site, you gave permission to have them access your wallet, and that's how it was taken away from you. Because keep in mind, these hot wallets do allow you to access DEXs from different various websites, right? So you got to be very careful. Hey, George, BNB at this price attractive? I think so. BNB is big powerhouse, and Binance is a big powerhouse, and they're not going away anywhere, and their ecosystem is only getting stronger. So I'm reading through the chat. A lot of people have really turned sour against Plan B. Okay. I get it. I mean, he made some bad calls. I mean, so have I. A lot of people have, right? Overall, he's still trying to stay positive, encourage people to stay in the game, right? I don't know why so many people are really against him, but I mean, he's still overall, in my opinion, I haven't seen anything otherwise. Well, I mean, I take that back. I have seen him say some stuff outside of crypto that may be controversial. Maybe that's why. But as for crypto, you know, he's still helping people stay encouraged. Franco asked, besides Mt. Gox, is there another price menace for BTC that comes from the past that still lurks? Besides Satoshi withdrawing as well? No, that's it. But Satoshi withdrawing could be one of them, but it's unlikely that's going to happen. But no, that's about it. Who's your favorite Sith Lord? I don't know. I just like Kylo Ren's lightsaber the best. I love it. I think it's the best one. You know, speaking of these lightsabers, you know what I got recently? And I'm going to hang it up, but this is the coolest thing ever. Those of you guys that watch Mandalorian, I just got this dark saber. Oh, this thing is a killer. I know, I'm just geeking out a little bit, but this thing is really, really cool. I will hang this up. Let's see. Mt. Gox is already priced in. I think so. Let's see. What do you think about Binance fan tokens? They're Chili's tokens. They just listed Chili's fan tokens. It's not theirs, but I mean, if you like sports team, you want to speculate on their tokens, I guess go ahead. You know, that's all from Chili's. Did Captain Sailor sell his Bitcoin? No, he did not. Oh, but that's another thing, Penn. Franco, you asked about if there's another price menace. I guess that could be a thing. Michael Saylor sells his Bitcoin. If he even sells a little bit. If any quarterly report comes out of MicroStrategy even if he says, I sold 100 Bitcoins or 1,000 Bitcoins, that would be disastrous for the market because he's seen as like the ultimate holder now, especially among institutions, right? And if he sells, that would be bad. So I don't think so. He put himself in a position where basically he can do nothing but HODL and DCA more. He can't be like Elon and say, well, I need to sell some, right? Like people accept that Elon could do it, but they won't accept Michael Saylor doing it. That's for sure. The Har Master. Okay, you've said the same thing like 100 times. Lightsabers make noise. When they're off, the noise is gone. Yes. You said that like 5 times. You don't need to repeat it. They automatically turn off if you don't move them. Okay, that's the reason why they turn off. So stop spamming the same thing over and over and over again. Do you know where ITrustCapital keeps the currency from the customer? Yeah, they put it in custodian services. They use Coinbase and they use Fireblock. So it's right on their webpage. They don't store it themselves. Everything goes in a custodian service, and those are all insured. Whether or not they fully insured, that's a different question, but they are insured. But yeah, they don't keep anything on hand. Tiberius, it's not the fact that if Saylor sells. If he sells OGC, no one's going to know, right? But he has to disclose. If he discloses even a little bit, just a tiny little bit, that would be very disastrous. So hopefully that never, ever, ever happens. VeChain with UFC, any weight? Not really. More than, I made fun of other companies doing this too. I'm not going to make fun of VeChain for it, but in terms of marketing, I get you have to market, but putting VeChain logo on a UFC octagon, is that really going to make people actually check out VeChain? Probably not. What would have more weight to it is if they partner up with the UFC and say, hey, all the merchandise that UFC sells, or say UFC tickets being sold, are all verified on the VeChain blockchain. That would hold a lot more weight, right? But I get it. You gotta do baby steps, right? So I'm hoping that they do that because they've already done that with many other companies already. So I'm hoping that they do more of that. Tracking of goods and verification. I just showcased a company that's into sports memorabilia and cards, and they're doing that with graded cards. That's great. They're doing it with Walmart of China already. They're doing it with H&M in Asia. So hopefully they expand with a lot more companies. And that would be great. Happy Sunday, Johnny. Hey, appreciate your support, man. Appreciate the support. I know these times are rough, so I do appreciate you continuing to support me and tuning in, right? And I will continue to do these for you guys. Just make sure that we all stay level-headed and get through this together. Litecoin failed sponsoring UFC. Yeah, I poked fun of Litecoin before because they did have a big UFC thing. They had a big thing with Miami Dolphins. Did one person turn to Litecoin? No, right? It's like these marketing things, if they get you through the door, get you in the door so that you could do something bigger, something more substantial, then great. But if you're just advertising your logo on the octagon, that's not going to help you. No one's going to in the middle of a fight say, oh, I noticed VeChain logo, right? I'm going to go look at it while ignoring the fight. No one's going to do that, right? It has to evolve to something bigger, in my opinion. When Darksaber, I just got it. This thing is really cool. I mean, this thing is like this handle weighs like 3 pounds. It's really substantial when you're holding it. This thing is so cool. It's cooler than a lightsaber, in my opinion. But this came out of Mandalorian, and not everyone watched the series, but it's actually a really good series. That's what she said. Hey, Rich, thank you for that. Yeah, I just put out a like and dislike video about my Model X Plaid. I wanna put out a lot more videos about that car. Yeah. One of the main reasons why I bought it was to create videos, and I haven't really done a lot of videos with it. Mario, hey, appreciate it. Crypto sub method. We'll become besties. Let's see. Best series ever from Star Wars. I'll tell you, growing up, I was never a Star Trek guy. I mean, Star Wars guy. I was always a Star Trek guy. And Mandalorian is what got me into it because everyone kept talking about how good Mandalorian was. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I was really, really bored. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I mean, just starting from episode 1 got me addicted to it. And then it really, made me want to kind of get into the whole thing again. So Mandalorian is a damn good show. What do you think about Constellation? I need to learn more about their 2.0 because they're upgrading and it's supposed to be a lot better. I like Constellation. They're a DAG. The biggest draw is that they work with the U.S. Air Force. And if they work with the U.S. Air Force, it means that they have something pretty substantial. They're very quick. They don't use smart contracts. They use like state channels. They're like more like a layer 0. So, I mean, they have their technical advantages. But the biggest thing is they're part of the U.S. Air Force, right? So that's pretty big. But I don't know too much about their new 2.0. It's supposed to be even better. I have to do more research into it. Prey was a good movie, but Predator didn't get picked up like last time. Yeah. Prey was a good movie. I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's another movie that's about, showcasing or empowering women, like that. And I could see how you can make that argument, but, it was actually just overall, it's a really good movie. And, yeah, it's on Hulu. Sam, I've never heard of that coin before, ever. So probably not. Did I watch Demon Slayer yet? No. I finally watched? I finally watched the first episode of House of the Dragon on HBO. And I don't know how I feel about it. They're setting the stage for a family conflict, right, between the uncle and the daughter, right? And the father obviously is a really weak individual. He should not be king. I don't know. I finally got myself to watch it because I know everyone's going to talk about it if I don't watch it. But it's not the same, You don't have the same emotional draw as you did with the characters in Game of Thrones. Maybe it'll come in time, but right now, I don't have any emotional attachment to any of the characters, right? So it's kind of hard to start a new show like this. House of the Fun. Do you think we could lose another 30% or more in general? No, I think it's very unlikely. We can, let's say, go back down to 17,000. I could see that that's possible. To go down 30+%, that means Bitcoin has to go down to 14,000 or even lower. I just saw someone say, yeah, we could go down to 12 or 10,000. I mean, I think that's not in the cards. It's very unlikely. Never say never. I guess it's not impossible for it to happen. Like if something on a macro scale is really bad, I could see maybe then. But let's just say it's unlikely in my opinion. Yeah, DPG says people are so obsessed about 12K already. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of technical guys that say, oh, this level must be breached or hit before we can recover. I mean, I don't know. I like C on Apple TV. That's like the only service I don't have. I have like every streaming service. I gotta say, Hulu is much better than I expected. Mostly because, well, I had Prey, right? And then my kids watch Naruto on there. And then I'm watching Dragon Ball Super with them on there. So they actually have some decent stuff. I don't know. I'm not affiliate of Hulu. I'm not trying to sell Hulu, but I'm just saying Hulu is actually a pretty good streaming service. Oh, and I'm watching Orville on Hulu too. I'm actually enjoying Orville a lot. I never watched that show because I thought it was just a spoof show, and it really isn't. It's actually just a decent sci-fi show. Am I ready for the NFL season? I'm not a big football guy, to be honest. I always root for the Bears, but I never watch their games because they just suck every year. You know, it seems like, oh, you know, they're going to do good this year, and every year they suck and suck some more. So, yeah, I'm not really a big football guy. Who's the real GOAT, MJ or LeBron? Well, older guys will always say MJ. In another 20 years, no one's really going to remember him anymore, and everyone's just going to say LeBron. Really, after enough time has passed, no one will say MJ anymore. Everyone will just say LeBron. I mean, you got to think about it. The kids these days, the younger folks, they never watch MJ. They only watch LeBron. And it's amazing that LeBron has been in the NBA for 17 years. Even he's considered like old, right? If you think about it. Michael, Gensler is nothing than a puppet of elite financing political parties. They want to control all financial and social economic aspects of the lives of average Americans. Crypto is one of those instruments they want to control. Well said. You know, the wealthy does not want the poor to join them, right? You got to think about it. Like, if you're in, like, a certain level where you have control over people under you, why would you ever want people under you to have as much control as you, right? So there's no doubt there are a lot of string pullers. You could say, I don't know, Rothschilds or BlackRocks of the world, right? They are trying their hardest to control things, to make sure that people do not fall out of line and break out of the chains of a 9-to-5 job, you know, the chains of having a large mortgage you never pay off, right? Stuff like that. They want you to continue your life as basically a slave to a paycheck, right? They don't want you to ever break out of that. But that's where, you know, every so often you have some innovation that happens and it breaks. You know, it's hard to control and it breaks through the chains for a lot of people. And I do believe crypto is one of them. It has helped me do that, has helped many others do that, right? But they're going to try their hardest to make sure it doesn't continue forward. But it's one of those innovations you can't stop, just like the internet. People very early on wanted to stop the internet. You can't stop the internet. People wanted to stop information from flowing from one end of the world to another, right? You can't. You can't. It's too big to stop. And I think crypto is going to be the same thing too. MJ LeBron fusion, ultimate basketball player. If LeBron had the same mindset as MJ, he would have like 10 plus rings. He would have more rings probably than Bill Russell if LeBron had the same mindset as MJ. He doesn't. That's his one weakness, right? He's too friendly. But even with that said, his discipline, his God-given abilities, his athleticism, you know, his height has made him into the ultimate basketball player. Like, there's no doubt his longevity probably will never be broken. Once he retires, his numbers will be so staggeringly high that there's no way you can't include him in the GOAT conversation, right? And if he could pick up 1 or 2 more rings, then it pretty much solidifies it. I don't know if he could pick up 2 more rings, but if he can and equals 6 of Jordan, basically the argument is over. So, that's how I grew up with Jordan, right? But I do think there's so much older guys that just hate on LeBron because they're trying to protect Jordan. Just like in crypto, a lot of Solana guys will make fun of Cardano thinking it's go help their own bag, right? And vice versa. I feel like a lot of older guys do the same thing with Jordan. They'll just like shit on LeBron and everyone else because they want to protect Jordan to be the GOAT, as if it somehow helps them financially. It doesn't. But that's kind of how I feel. Like there's just a lot of guys that likes to talk bad about LeBron just to try to make Jordan look good, and there's no need for that. I mean, it's amazing. Once LeBron really retires, the NBA is going to be so different because he's been in the league for so long. Like, you just kind of accept that he's just there and doing stuff at age of 37 where no one else has done before. Yeah. My only basketball shoe, LeBron, 17 years old. If you had the same mindset of Kobe, Kobe is a carbon copy of Jordan. Okay? Kobe is 99% carbon copy of Jordan, but because he's not as athletic as Jordan and his longevity was not as long as Jordan, he wasn't able to match him. I mean, had Shaq never left Lakers, had they not fought, Kobe would have like 8 rings, and then maybe he would be considered the best of all times. But because his ego clashed with Shaq's ego, we'll never know. LeBron would be soon replaced by LeBron. Everyone's trying to speculate who's the next LeBron, right? Who's the next superstar? Because if you look at Durant, he's a head case, and he's old too. Harden is old. Like, who's the next guy, right? Is it Giannis? Probably. I think most people look at Giannis being the next, face of the NBA. But outside of him, who else is there? You have some superstars, but, like, who could really carry the NBA after all these guys retire? Probably, like, Morant, John Morant, and Giannis, and I don't know, Luka maybe. Luka is not the new Kobe. Luka is the next Larry Bird. I mean, that's the best comparison. If Shaq never left, the Kobe we know might have never shown. No, that's not true because Kobe was already there. Kobe was already better than Shaq the last season, and he was only getting better. So, no. Shaq was on a decline, but if Shaq wasn't so jealous of Kobe's rise and he stayed in shape, he was still the most dominant force there was at the time, and they could have won another three-peat easily. Easily. But, yeah. Way more sauce than Bird. I mean, it's a different time, right? Here's the thing. You guys, some of you guys may have heard, JJ Redick came out and said, the early guys, Bob Cousy, played against firemen and plumbers, and then Bob Cousy didn't like that, and then Jerry West came out and defended Bob Cousy by saying, "Who the hell is JJ Redick? He's just a role player, right? He didn't change the game, so what is he complaining about?" And then people on Twitter and comments will say, "Well, JJ Redick would cook Bob um, um, Cousy and light him up. If they played one-on-one up to 21, it'll be 21-0. It's true because obviously guys have gotten better, right? The ways to train, the ways for training, eating, and everything has improved. So obviously players now are way, way, way more athletic than players of 50 years ago. But you have to look at your current time. Bob Cousy and Jerry West, they were the best of their time. Is JJ Redick the best of his time? No, not even close. So that's where they're coming from. It's like, hey, we were the leaders of our league, even though it's not as athletic as the league today, but we were the leaders of our league where you are not. You're a role player. So stay in your lane, basically. So I think that's true, but a lot of people don't seem to understand that. Anyways. All right, I'm ranting too much. I'll let you guys go on this Sunday. I should just have another podcast where it's nothing to do with crypto and just me ranting about random stuff. I think some of you guys will enjoy that. Anyways, overall, guys, we're about to start a new week. Let's see what happens, right? All eyes are still on economic data, and we will see. We're going to get a lot of that this week, and let's see what happens as we head into September. Are we going to finally see some green? Or are we still going to be suppressed and scared like the last week or so? I guess only time will tell. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.